آمين الخلائق أجمعين وصلى الله على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون قال أمير المؤمنين عليه الصلاة والسلام طوبى لمن أخلص الله العبادة والدعاء ولم يشغل قلبه بما ترى عيناه ولم ينسى ذكر الله بما تسمع أذناه لم يحزن صدره بما أعطي غيره صدق الله وصدق أمير المؤمنين عليه الصلاة والسلام صلوات صلى على محمد. We were speaking about the difference between Alawi system and Taghuti and Yazidi system. In the system of Mullah Ali, human beings are brought up in a certain way towards certain goals. One of those goals is ikhlas. Ikhlas means purity of iman, purity of niyat. In the life of Ali ibn Abi Talib, ikhlas plays the most important part. And he says that the darajat of muqarrabeen are known by their maratibul ikhlas. How pure their niyat is, how pure their intention is, that is how their ranks are decided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The wise people, the aqil, uqala, people who have hikmat, they race against, they compete with each other in having more ikhlas, not in the number of their amal. For example, the people who are close to Allah, they are not competing with each other over how many rakats of salat they are praying, how many fast days of fast they are doing, how many hajj they have done, how many ziyarat. This is for people like us, I'm saying about myself. We are competing, okay, I went for ziyarat or he did not. I'm saying I'm better than him. This is like people like my level would look at the amount, the number of our amal, how many amal. The people who are a little bit closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are not concerned about who does more action. Not concerned about that. They're concerned about how pure is that action, purity of action. Iqbal, the poet, of India and Pakistan before Allama Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, he said, as Ali Amuz ikhlas amal. Learn ikhlas of amal from Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. Please say a salawat. Salam Muhammad wa. And in the words of Mawla Ali, he said, Tuba liman akhlasa lillah amalahu. He said, good news, that means Jannat. Tuba is a tree in paradise. Tuba, paradise for the person who purifies his actions for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his knowledge for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the knowledge we gain, is it for mal dunya, is it for money? The knowledge we gain, is it for people to become popular, to be known as, for example, a knowledgeable person? Is it for power? Have become, for example, number one in some place, have win an office or become powerful? Is that for this? No. Tuba liman akhlasa lillah amalahu. Basharat, for the person who was able to purify his actions for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that mean? The one sign of ikhlas is that you, alaikum salam, do not expect any praise for your actions from the people. For example, one way to know, in the stories of Behlul, you find Behlul was a person who acted like he was crazy. Because Harun Rashid he suspected that Behlul is a follower of Imam al-Kazim alayhi salam. So he he sent someone to arrest him, and Bahlul started acting like he had lost his mind. So he said, well, he's gone crazy, so we cannot arrest him. So Bahlul was a very, very wise person, but he acted like he was crazy. So one day he saw a masjid, and so he asked who made this masjid. So this guy said, I made this masjid. So Bahlul asked him, why did you make this masjid? Why did you build this masjid? He said, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I made this masjid for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rizan lillah, qurbatan ilallah. So Bahlul became quiet. That night he went to the masjid quietly, secretly, and wrote on the wall outside the masjid, this masjid was made by Bahlul. So next day, well, people came to the masjid for salat, and they saw that outside the masjid it said, this masjid has been built by Bahlul. But people started saying, wow, what a nice person he is. Look, we would never have known if somebody had not told us. And he did so much good work for Allah. He spent so much money, effort. And now we know that Bahlul was the builder of this masjid. So people started praising him, praising him. And then Bahlul is just standing on a corner and just watching all this happening. So this person shows up who actually built the masjid. So he came and noticed that people are praising Bahlul for. So he said, why are you praising him? He said, because he built this masjid. He said, he did not build this masjid. So then who built this masjid? He said, I did. So Bahlul said, look, this is your niyat actual. The actual niyat for building this masjid, now we find out. So what you say with your mouth was not your actual niyat for the masjid. The actual niyat for masjid was not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Was to earn some reputation, some respect in the eyes of people. Please say the salawat. لمن أخلص لله عمله وعلمه حبه وبغضه وأخذه وتركه. Every action should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do we know some action is for Allah? You don't expect any praise. When you do that action, no one appreciates it, and you don't feel it in the heart. You don't feel bad when no one praises you, right? When you do something, no one even remembers. In fact, like the story of Bahlul, they are praising someone else for that action. It's giving credit to someone else. That's the time to find out what your real niyat was. وَأَخْذَهُ وَتَرْكَهُ وَكَلَامَهُ وَصَمْتَهُ. Your speech should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your silence should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَفِعْلَهُ وَقَوْلَهُ. Actions should be for Allah, and speech should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Well, I would say honestly, this is a very big assignment Maula Ali has given us. This is a very big test. Ikhlas is, al-ikhlas sirrum min asrarillah. Ikhlas in the Hadith Qudsi, Holy Prophet says that ikhlas is among the secrets of Allah. He gives it to the heart that He loves. It is not something that someone can claim to have and have ikhlas in his heart. That someone cannot just claim to be mukhlis and become mukhlis. This is something gifted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please cite a salawat. Allahumma sallallahu. Maula Ali said, Fil ikhlas yakunul khalas. Your najat is in ikhlas. If your action is pure, then you will reach a high level. Al ikhlas, Maula Ali said, Al ikhlas ibadatul muqarrabin. The ibadah of muqarrabin is not how many times they offered their salat, how many times they offered hajj or zakat or something. Ikhlas, ibadat, the ibadah of muqarrabin is actually the ikhlas. People who are close to Allah, all their worry, all their focus is on why I'm doing this action. إبقاء على الأمل حتى يخلص أشد من الأمل. Mawla Imam al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam said, Al-ibqa'u al-amal hatta yakhlus. To stay on an action until it becomes pure is harder than doing that action. Doing an action, for example, offering salat, is hard enough. It's hard to say, okay, leave everything, do your salat. It's easy. But to stay on that action until it becomes pure for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is even harder than the action itself. We should not fool ourselves by doing an action alone. We should actually be focused from the start till the finish, not just during the action. By continuously doing it, our focus should be, who am I doing this for? If this action is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how would I know this? All the biggest test in life, and the reason why the Holy Prophet said, ضربة علي يوم الخندق أفضل من عبادة الثقلين. Why? Because of the ikhlas of Mawla Ali. ضربة علي يوم الخندق, in the battle of Khandaq, right? Who was the Pahlawan, the champion who came from the other side of the ditch? Huh? Amr ibn Abdawad, right? He challenged the whole Muslim army, whatever their number was, 2,000, 3,000, whatever they were. The sight of this man, they were scared to death. No one would speak. He said, Halman Mubarak, everyone was silent. The line that the words in the history says, كَأَنَّ عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمُ الطَّيْرِ. It was like a bird was sitting on their head. When Amr ibn Abdawad challenged the Muslim army and he said, Halman Mubarak, is anyone to come fight me? He called for someone to come and fight, right? The history says, كَأَنَّ عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمُ الطَّيْرِ. Everyone was dumbfounded. Everyone was silent. So silent, like we call pin drop silence. Like, for example, silence of the kind that, the Arabs say, كَأَنَّ عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمُ الطَّيْرِ. A bird was sitting on their head. Like what happens when you are not just silent, but also still. Because if you move, this bird will fly, right? That kind of a silence. Like the whole Muslim army was sitting still like they were dead. Silent, no one would dare speak a word. They were speaking or moving means death. So what I remember is like, have you been to an auction ever? You've been to a car auction or someplace, you can't move your hand. You can't move your face. Someone said, okay, the bid, next bid, someone, even the eye, blink of an eye, they will take it as a bid. Okay, 5,700, 5,700. Someone says you like this, that means you're 6,000. But next bid is 6,000. No one would dare move because any sign would be taken as, yes, I am willing to fight Amr ibn Abdawad. No one is willing to fight Amr ibn Abdawad. Complete silence. Allahu ya Rasulullah. Ali stood up and said, Ya Rasulullah, I will go and face him. The Prophet said, Ali, sit down. I made him sit down. Again, and the same thing happened in Dawah Zul Ashira, right? The first Dawah, the Holy Prophet said, Who will, ayyukum yu'aziruni ala hadal amr? Who will support me in this mission of Risalat? I will appoint him my akhi wa wasiyyi wa khalifati, right? No one will say a word. Ali will stand up again. Here again, in the battle of Khandaq, Ali stood up. Rasulullah sit down. Asked again, who will go out fight this man? No one else. Ali stood up. Third time, the book says that Ali just stood up and went. Although Holy Prophet put his amam on his head and made the dua, oh Allah, in the battle of Badr, you took Ubaydah ibn al-Haris for Bani Hashim. In the battle of Uhud, you took Hamza from us. Today, I beg you to safeguard, to protect Ali from harm. Ali is the closest to the Holy Prophet. But the part I'm referring to is that when Imam Ali alayhi salam brought him down, it was an encounter, really, very major encounter in that battle. The dust was such that people couldn't see anymore. Biggest champion of Arabia, who was considered equal to 1,000 men. There was a battle, like it was said this, and the reason why Muslims were so scared was that in that battle, the guy who became the second Khalifa, he said something. That's psychological. You have inner enemies who are within your lines. This guy made a comment that scared the people even more. He said that the bandits, they attacked the caravan, and this one man fought all of them alone. And he picked up a camel to defend himself when his shield broke. He scared the Muslims even more. Ali alayhi salam fought this man, right? Brought him down. Now is the time, according to the how the battles are done, you behead the person at the end. Ali alayhi salam wanted to do that. He spit on Imam Ali's face. Spit on Imam Ali's face just like that. Ali could have done it, finished him off right away. He stood up. There's a whole shi'r, ash'ar that Iqbal has written on this in Qasida of Mawla Ali about his ikhlas over there. He stood up and started walking. He asked Mawla Ali, what happened? Change your mind? You don't want to kill me or what? He said, I was killing you for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you spit on my face, right, I had to ask myself, am I killing him for anger, revenge? Or am I killing him for Allah now? That careful Ali was. So he did not just do things for people because something had to be done. He had to weigh all his actions, quality of his actions, quality of his niyat, right? And the reason why, what is he trying to attain by this niyat? So it really did not matter to Ali. People liked him or did not like him. They praise him or they condemn him, right? It doesn't matter. That was the time, well, everyone must have praised Ali alayhi salam. There was another day when everyone turned against him. So many years, no one even wanted to speak to him because of fear or whatever, grudge against him. Ali had killed so many of these, Mashahir Arab, but champions over in Arabian culture of the time, right? Shu'ara and these champions, they were two symbols of their culture. Shu'ara represented the art. It was the Arabic language, how beautifully they put together their poems. And the champions, the fighters, were sign of their chivalry, sign of their bravery and courage. So these two things were the biggest symbols of their greatness. This was the Arabian culture at its peak, you could say. And Islam destroyed both of these. In Islam, the Quran came, right? It basically unplugged all these shu'ara. It could not bring anything that could be next to the ayat of Holy Quran. As it is very well known that Muslims had put this, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, fasalli li rabbika wanhar, inna shani'aka huwal abtar, on the wall of Kaaba. Till that time, all these, mu'allaqat, sab'a they call it, I think, they were put on the walls of Kaaba. They were the best masterpieces of Arabic literature, Arabic poetry. They were put over. The best poems were put on the Kaaba itself. When Suratul Kawthar was revealed, they put it there, started taking them off. Because they said that they are not a match for this one. 3 verses of Quran, Suratul Kawthar, could not be matched by anything else, right? Other symbol of their culture was their pahlawan, their great warriors. They were really exemplary in their out of their war, and all that. And the mu'jiza of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that unplugged and destroyed and crushed all these champions of Arabia was Mawla Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But it was not just the physical strength. Though it was physically strong, Mawla Ali's arms were like solid iron, Imam Khomeini, I remember one video I watched him, he said Ali's arms were like iron, solid. And in one place he mentions in the one of the letters he wrote to one of the governors he appointed, where he told the person that, I think the same letter which I mentioned a few nights ago, the person who attended a banquet with rich people. In that same letter, Mawla Ali points out that people ask me, well, Ali, you eat this dry dough, barley, And even that bread is so dry that you sometimes can't break it. So you break it with your foot, basically. And you dip it in the water to make it a little softer, and then you eat it. If somebody eats this kind of food, how can he have the power and energy to fight the battlefield? So, these wrestlers, these champions, look at their diet. What do they eat all year round? Can you have someone eat barley, like dry, the kind of a meal, and then come up and fight Amr ibn Abdawad, for example? Something, or go and take out the gate of the Khaybar. Is that possible? Someone do that? Ali has a very unique logic for this, which he knows, and you have to take his word for it. He says that the plants that grow in the desert are more steadfast and strong. The plants that grow in a nursery, are weak and frail. They don't grow up with such hard stem. He says the plants that grow in harsh conditions are more resilient. To say that with this kind of lifestyle that Ali ibn Abi Talib has, he can overcome any obstacle and he can face the whole Arab. He mentions in some of the sermons in Najul Balagha, you'll find, and I would advise you all, keep a Najul Balagha close to you. And sometimes just open and see what's going on. Really. He said that, and that's this I'm mentioning with one of his letters at the end of his, towards the end of his Khilafat, he wrote to Muawiyah. He said, Muawiyah, today, if the whole Arab, all that come against me, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala. He says, if all the Arab fighters, they come against me, I will not turn my back on them. This was unthinkable. Because basically, shaja'at is not in the body. Shaja'at is in the heart. The ulama al-fakhlaq, they mention in their books, if you look at the books, Miraj al-Sa'ada, Jami al-Sa'ada, these books, you will find that shaja'at has been defined as a characteristic of the heart, not the body. Shaja'at means chivalry, courage. Courage, right, is not something physical. Courage is something in the heart. And they describe it, the shaja'at means that you're faced with an enemy many more times more powerful than you are. There's no chance of you surviving this. But no fear enters your heart. This is shaja'at. There's no fear in your heart despite being outnumbered, right? And then they mention that actually shaja'at means that you enjoy it. That is the sound of these, swords and lances, and according to those times, now it's something else. Now, for example, the followers of Mawla Ali alayhi salam in Islamic Republic and Yemen and Lebanon and other places, you'll find they were outnumbered by Lebanon, they were outnumbered by Israeli forces. In Yemen, they were outnumbered by Saudi and all these international, warlords who were coming to destroy the Yemenis. Even in Iraq, after when the Daesh came, mashallah, when Ayatollah Sistani gave the order, people rose up, people with no experience in fighting, regular people, they got some kind of quick training and went to fight these, terrorists who had received training, who were sent to destroy our holy cities. Despite being outnumbered, they faced with such shaja'at. And this shaja'at they got from, as a mirath, they got it from Mawla Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala. So we were talking about ikhlas. See, Mawla Ali is ikhlas. He wants his followers to become mukhlis. He wants his followers to do everything for Allah. And there are just so many aqwal of Mawla Ali. He said people are three types. People who worship Allah out of fear. I said this is the worship of the slaves. He says then that other people who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of greed. And he said this is the worship of the traders, tujjar. He said there is a third class of people. They don't worship, they don't obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of fear or greed. They worship Allah for the sake of hub, for the sake of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for the sake, and some ahadith, Mawla mentions the word shukr. They worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he said, this is the ibadat of ahrar. This is the ibadat of free people. Free people serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala neither for greed nor for fear. They fear Allah, they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Love guides their actions. Shawq liqa'illah, the ishtiyaq that they have in meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what guides them. Neither Jannah nor Jahannam. The greed of Jannah, greed of worldly things, nor fear of hellfire, or fear of problems in this dunya. No fear guides their actions. No greed guides their actions. What guides their actions is love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Frees them, frees their heart. This is what ikhlas we are talking about. What is ikhlas? Ikhlas is the primary ingredient of iman. Iman means doing something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Iman means believe in Allah. Oh Allah, I believe in you as my Khaliq, my Rabb, my Ilah. Ilah means wajibut ta'a. That means I turn to you and you guide me and you order me and I follow. La ilaha illallah tuflihu. The Holy Prophet said to the people of Quraysh, right? Qulu la ilaha illallah. Say no ba'bud, no one to obey except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tuflihu. If a person said that with understanding, what does that mean? It doesn't just mean, for example, praying salat to Allah. No. La ilaha illallah. No one to be obeyed except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person really registers it in the mind, tuflihu. Allah, straight to heaven, straight to paradise. Nothing can come between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. Ikhlas is that's beautiful dawla. For amal salih, you have to have ikhlas. First condition of amal salih. Why Ali's action, لَضَرْبَةُ عَلِيٍّ يَوْمَ الْخَلْدَقِ أَفْضَلُ مِنْ عِبَادَةِ الثَّقَلَيْنِ. That one strike of Ali ibn Abi Talib on Amr ibn Abdawad was heavier, mizan, right? Was better than all the good deeds of human beings from Adam till the day of Qiyamah. Why is one action of Ali? I was reading some ahadith on the topic of ikhlas today. I was amazed. I was astonished to read. You know that if, for example, all the amal of human beings from the time of Adam till the day of judgment, right? All are collected together, they still will be outweighed by that zarbat of Ali on the day of Khandaq. That one strike of Ali will outweigh the good deeds of all human beings from Adam till the day of judgment. Please say the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala. Why? Because of the first condition that he met and other things, but first condition, ikhlas. It was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ikhlas means only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing else. You can test yourself. The people praise you for something you did, you made a donation. Do people mention it? Do people praise you? Do you credit for something good you did? Well, we have a short life and short resources. Why not care more about the quality of our actions? Instead of worrying about who gave what or who did what, say, okay, why did I did this action? Why did I do this action? Any action in our life must be guided by ikhlas. Oh Allah, I do it, qurbatan ilallah, and repeat it. Sometimes, I had a teacher in Qom when I was there. He was a teacher of akhlaq. He had this habit. Sometimes he was teaching and suddenly he would pause. Say again, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would wonder why in the middle of a lesson he stops and says again, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sometimes sometimes I became kind of close to him. He was eating something together, so he would stop again. Again, he would say, middle of his lunch, he said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I asked him, he said, your niyat can falter. You can lose your ikhlas in the middle of your action. You start something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the middle of the journey, you throw it away because somebody doesn't like it or somebody likes something and he praise you and you feel good. You say, oh, all actions are lost. What's the point of doing an action in this short time, which, there is no jaza for your actions, right? Less than paradise. Paradise is the least thing you should get for the good deeds you do. Nothing less than. A person should not be satisfied with the praise of the people, nor any credit in this dunya, nor any reward in this dunya. None of that qualifies as a reward for your good actions. Least reward you and I should expect, least thing we should be looking for is the paradise, nothing less. But yes, something that really should be a reward is the result of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khushnudi khuda. That is the best reward. And that should be the only reward. In real sense, actual reward for a good action should never be anything except the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please cite a salawat. Allahumma salli ala. Person came to Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam and asked him, why is it that we live our life for 70 years, 80 years, whatever, but we are rewarded forever. Like for being good person on this earth, for 70, 80 years, we are rewarded with paradise forever. Khalidina fiha. For another person who does bad stuff in his life for 70, 80, 90, whatever number of years he lives in, which is a very short time. 30 years is a very short time. There's billions of years this place has been around, and we will be living for eternity after this. How is it fair? He asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, how is it fair that for 70 years you did something for 70 years, you are being rewarded forever? Or for the bad things you did in 70 years, you will be punished forever? Of course, not everyone will be punished forever. There are many exceptions. All this is detailed, but so Imam alayhi salam gave this beautiful response. Please cite a salawat so I give you that answer. Allahumma salli ala. Imam alayhi salam said, إنما خلد أهل النار في النار لأن نياتهم كانت في الدنيا أن لو خلدوا فيها أن يعصوا الله أبدا. Why was some people sent to hell forever? It's because they had this niyat. That their niyat was such that if they had stayed in this world forever, this dunya forever, they will continue to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They received their reward or punishment based on their niyat. People of hellfire will be in hellfire forever because their niyat, their intention in this dunya was that as long as they stay in this dunya, they will continue to do haram. Obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وإنما خلد أهل الجنة في الجنة لأن نياتهم كانت في الدنيا أن لو بقوا فيها يعطوا الله أبدا. Such a beautiful thing, Imam said. And the people who will arrive in paradise, in Jannat, right? إنما خلد أهل الجنة. Why the other group of people will go to paradise forever? Because this dunya, their intention was, their plan was, right? If they stay in this dunya forever, they will continue to do the right thing. Continue to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And 70 or 60 or 50 doesn't matter. Whatever number of years, Allah will see your niyat in this short span of time that you live in this dunya. Allah knows. Allah actually always knew. Allah always knew. But it has to come out. Has to be manifested. Right? Because this amal is a hujjat on the person on the day of judgment. This amal will not be forgotten. It includes our speech, everything that we do, our niyat, our amal qalbiya, amal jawarihi, all actions, these are actions that must show our intentions. And whatever amount of time we live in this dunya, it clearly shows what our intention was, right? فَبِالنِّيَّاتِ خُلِّدَ هَؤُلَاء وَهَؤُلَاء. Because of their intentions of ikhlas, one person, their ikhlas was to serve Iblis. One person, the ikhlas was to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Something I remember, Marhum Sheikh Jafar Shustari. He was the writer of the book Al-Khasa'isul Husayniyah. Has anyone heard that name before? Khasa'isul Husayniyah. Beautiful, beautiful book. All about the unique qualities of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And he wrote this, it's a book is a miracle. He got it, such insight, some spiritual insight that he got, that he just wrote this book. So he used to be the one of the or number one speaker in Tehran in his time. I don't know when that was, 100 and some years ago, probably. I'm not very sure. Sheikh Jawad Husri was a very popular speaker in Tehran. And when he used to offer when he was speaking, majalis, a crowd would come. One day, toward the end of his speech, he said, tomorrow I want to call everyone to shirk. Tomorrow, my speech, I will invite everyone to do shirk. And then he came down from the member. Everyone was talking about what is Sheikh Jafar, after a whole life of Tawheed, now he's talking about shirk and he wants people to become mushrik. Next day, the crowd had grown many times more. There were more people in the majlis than any other time. So he spoke to the people, and in the summary of that speech was that our actions, they're not for Allah. They are for Iblis, for people, for dunya, for this and for that. Whatever you look at, all our actions are going to waste, basically. So he said, why don't you make Allah a sharik? Add Allah in your niyat also. Don't just do everything for Iblis. Don't just do everything for your nafs. Don't just do everything for dunya. Include Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your niyat as well. Allah also in the picture. Not just do everything. So he was calling people to make Allah, include Allah in the action, not just shaitan. This is really the problem that we are having. Any problems, I mentioned earlier that people have between them, it's not because of Islam, not because of our iman, it's because of Iblis, because of shaitan. Whenever we put ghairullah in our actions, we run into problems. Whenever we have that. People, a whole nation can become like that. People are praying their salah, they're offering hajj and all that, and all are mushrik. Because when Imam Hussain invites them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one is willing to come and support Imam Hussain, right? That shows, all those people who were doing hajj and ziyarat and whatever else they were doing was not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Imam Hussain would not have to stand there with his family and a few of his supporters in such great odds. Imam had to take his stand. And this really, gist of this Islam is, all over the Quran you see, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. So amanu means tawheed, your iman and tawheed. Amal salihat, again, amal salih becomes salih because of iman. First thing needed for an action to become amal salih is ikhlas. Iman, amal salih, basically it's all ikhlas. But amal salih is nothing without ikhlas. Iman is nothing without ikhlas either. So actually all of his, if you bring all the Quran together, you will see nothing except ikhlas. Purity. We need to focus on, and the love of Imam Hussain al-Islam brings ikhlas in our hearts. Because you are here not to earn any money. Don't go to majalis of Azza. We don't go to ziyarat of Hussain ibn Ali spending thousands and thousands from our pocket. Make money over there. We do majalis in our home, we do this and that. What are we doing it for? There's no other motive except showing our love is Quran asking us, right? وَمَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. I do not ask for any recompense, any reward for my actions. قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. O Rasul, tell these people, I do not ask for any compensation for my service of Risalat, this that I did for you. I do not ask for any reward. إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ, except love and devotion to my family, the Ahlul Bayt. Right? Ahlul Bayt includes Sayyidah Fatima, Imam Ali, and their children, the 11 Imams after them, the 14 infallibles. Please say the salawat. Salam Muhammad wa. And this ikhlas really, I mean, this is the biggest thing we can earn from this dunya. If we can, you see, I don't want to go on a tangent, but just to clarify, just to make it more clear before I, pay our tributes to Karbala, Shuhada of Karbala, that, ikhlas is one of those things that only human beings can achieve. Only human beings. Even the angels cannot earn this kind of greatness. I'll give you one example only. The Holy Prophet of Islam, when he was leaving Mecca, they had surrounded. All these assassins were outside his house, waiting to get in and kill him, finish him. He asked Ali, Ali, will you sleep in my bed and let me leave? Ali said, if I sleep in your bed, will you be alive? Will you be safe? Holy Prophet said, yes, Ali. Allah has promised me that if I'm able to exit this place and with you sleeping in my bed in place of me, then I will be able to live. Ali said, I'm willing, I'm ready to sleep in your bed, your place. So knowing that these people would get in and kill the person sleeping on this bed, Ali alayhi salam had the best sleep of his whole life. And he mentions in some of those statements that he said that was that one night I had the best ever sleep in my whole life. And this was not the person who wanted to sleep. The person was awake for ibadah, 1,000 rakat of salat he did every day in a 24-hour cycle. No, how can a person do that? How much Quran, whatever. It's just unbelievable how he was. But that night he slept. So the point I'm trying to make here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, he brought Jibreel and Mikail, Muqarrab, Malaik Muqarrab, the topmost angels, he brought them, asked them, summoned them in his presence. Jibreel and Mikail. He informed them, Jibreel, Mikail, I have extended the life of one of you more than the other. So let's say you all live 100,000 years. One of you, I've added his life to, instead of 100,000 years, I've made it 200,000 years, for example. So he did not say which one of you. He said one of you will have a longer life. So the one who has a longer life, if I ask you, Allah said to them, are you willing to give that extra life to the other person? Let's say if Jibreel had, instead of 100,000, 200,000 year long life, give that other 100,000 to Mikail, the other way around, would you be okay with that? Both of them said no. And again, this must be put in a context, okay? Because the whole point of creation of malaik is to yusabbihullah, right? To praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the longer an angel lives, the longer he can praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he gives his life to the partner, that means he loses 100,000 years of ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. So that's their perspective. But Allah's response was something else. Allah replied and said, why are you not like Ali ibn Abi Talib, who is tonight giving his life to my servant Muhammad? Why aren't you giving your life to the other like Ali is giving his life to my Habib Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam? Salam Muhammad wa. No, this is something to understand. It was something outside the experience of Malaik, outside the real experience of the angels. What does that mean to give your life to someone else? This is beyond the scope of understanding. Because this is not about knowledge. This is about a real experience of ikhtiyar of a human being that is put on this earth in a situation where he would have to give his life to save someone else's life. Angel is never put to a test like that. Human being is sometimes put to a test like that. And Ali alayhi salam succeeded in that test like no other human being. Why? Because of his ikhlas for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Him to spare his, give his life. Right? So Allah ordered Jibreel and Mikael to go down on the earth, and while Ali was sleeping, go down on the earth, right, and protect Ali from his enemies. Jibreel perhaps came to the side of his head and Mikael to the side of his feet, and they were watching and protecting Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted these angels to go and witness and see what ikhlas means. Go and see what ithar means. Here, what does it mean to give your life for someone else? If that one night where one person called Ali ibn Abi Talib gave his life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرَضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَؤُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. Allah مِنَ النَّاسِ, from among the people are some, which meaning basically one, gives his life. Why? For the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu raufun bil ibad. So I would say if that one man on that one night, right, is willing to give his life, Allah revealed this verse of Quran upon them. I wonder what Allah would have said if Quran was to continue being revealed and if ayat were continuing after the death of Rasulullah, what Allah would have said for Karbala when 72 people gave their life like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 72 people with no expectations, with nothing except the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Hussain said, I turn off the candle, you leave me. Look at the Imam al-Mukhlisin, Imam al-Mukhlasin, Hazrat Abi Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam, he says, turn off the candle. You all leave me, they have come to kill me. They will not come after you. And I will do your shafaat. Everything you are seeking, you will get. But they were not even seeking the shafaat. They were seeking something bigger than that. Just that Allah is happy, just that Hussain ibn, just that they will not be embarrassed in the face of Rasulullah. That on the day of judgment, they would stand and Sayyidah Fatima will be happy with them. That's all. Nothing else. They were not even thinking about anything else. Saying that we have made a covenant, we have made a promise at Ghadir. We have made promises to Rasulullah, we have promises to Allah that we make every day in our salat. We make promises to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. We're going to keep this promise no matter what happens. This is what Ali al-Akbar also said to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. When they were coming towards Karbala, Imam Hussain alayhi salam probably I mentioned earlier, Imam Hussain once he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. He was sitting on his horse and he was between his sleep and his awakening, which is a state of Ruhani state. He saw something. And he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. Ali Akbar noticed that. He said, Father, why do you say Inna lillah? Imam Hussain said, Ali was in that state, and I heard a munadi, someone calling out and saying, this caravan is going, but death is coming after this caravan. So basically, this caravan is moving toward his death. Ali Akbar Imam Hussain, aren't we alasna al haq? Oh Father, aren't we not on the path of haq and Sirat al-Mustaqim? Imam said, yes, by the Lord of the Kaaba, we are on the path of haq. Ali Akbar said, then it does not matter. It does not matter. We land upon death or death comes upon us. It does not matter anymore. This ikhlas of Ali al-Akbar, see, all the Ansar have gone and given their life when Imam al-Islam saw around him. And you see the burden on his conscience. The burden that Ali al-Akbar felt on his conscience. A day, I cannot imagine. No one can imagine how the weight that Ali Akbar felt, seeing his father being surrounded by these enemies. There's no help available. That the ghurbat of Abi Abdullah that Ali Akbar felt in his heart, no one can understand how Ali Akbar felt. So that's why when the Ansar and Ashab of Imam had gone, Ali Akbar stepped forward. He was the first person who came to his father. Father, would you give me permission to go? And obviously, Imam Hussain said, yes, my son. Imam Ali Akbar came to the camp asking for permission. It was very hard. Akbar, when he was leaving the camp, the Hamil and the Muslim, the reporters from the enemy side, he was noticing, writing down everything. He saw that Ali Akbar was trying to leave the camp, but he was being pulled back into the camp. He would step out, and again he would put pulled back in the camp. I saw a little girl who was holding on to Ali Akbar's robes, like his dress, and pulling him back in the camp. And the things that have been reported in history, they say the women and the household of the Holy Prophet present, they will say, Ali Akbar, don't leave us. We cannot live without you. Ali Akbar, his face was exactly like the Holy Prophet. When Imam Hussain alayhi salam gave Ali Akbar permission, Arkha Ainay, his eyes, he lowered his eyes and started crying. So first he said, yes, Ali Akbar. Then he started look down as if for nazara ilahi nazara ayasin minhu. Maqatil say that Imam Hussain looked at his son as if he had lost all hope. All hope had been taken from Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And he was nothing, as if there was no other point, nothing, no other reason for Imam Hussain to live in this dunya. The only thing, something that mattered so to Imam Hussain was Ali Akbar. It shows Ali Akbar, the Imam Hussein's love for Ali Akbar, also because of the love for Holy Prophet. Because he raised his hand and he said, Allahumma shahad ala ha'ula al-qawm. Oh Allah, be a witness upon these people. فَقَدْ بَرَزَ إِلَيْهِمْ غُلَامٌ أَشْبَهُ النَّاسِ خَلْقًا وَخُلْقًا وَمَنْطِقًا بِرَسُولِ وَكُنَّا إِذَا اشْتَقْنَا إِلَى زِيَارَةِ نَبِيِّكَ نَظَرْنَا إِلَيْهِ. Allah, be a witness that a son is going to the battle who resembles your prophet, his creation, in his looks, in his face, his manners, in his akhlaq and etiquette. Wamantiqan, even his speech is like the speech of Rasulullah. He speaks, people think it's Rasulullah is speaking. Imagine how hard it was for the family of Imam Hussain to lose, to see Ali Akbar going away to the battlefield. Allahu Akbar. Place yourself, put your hearts in Karbala and think Imam Hussain alayhi salam would have felt. I will take you to the streets of Sham where the head of Ali Akbar was being taken on a lance, and there were some women who were non-Muslims standing there, spectators standing there watching the scene, seeing the head of this young man, this Hashimi, Ghulam Hashimi, Ashbahun Nas bi Rasulullah. They saw his head and they were saying something. And they were saying that we hope that his mother would have died, this young man, his mother would not be alive. Why? Because he, with the face that he has, how much his mother would have loved him if everyone else admired his face so much. Ali Akbar, as he was leaving for the battle, Imam Hussain, as if he had not said enough, he turned towards Umar ibn Sa'id. Umar is now, may Allah, no, Allahu rahimak, kama qata'ta rahimi. You have destroyed my family. May Allah destroy your family. Ali Akbar went and fought very hard. They say that if Ali Akbar introduced himself, Rajas, and he fought and he killed many and came back. After killing some Maqatil, right, Sheikh Abbas and others, 120. And then he came back. And he came back and asked Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Al-Atash qad qatalani. My father, the thirst has killed me, is killing me. وَثِقْلُ الْحَدِيدَ hajani, this armor I'm wearing, in this heat, with this thirst, this iron, I'm wearing. it made it very difficult for me to fight. فَهَلْ لِي إِذَا شِرْبَةٍ مِّنَ الْمَاءِ سَبِيلٍ. Is there a little bit of water? Just a little bit of water, that I will gain some strength, that I could. Imam Hussein alayhi salam cried very loud when he heard that. Wagausa said, "Oh my son, go back and fight a little more, because very soon your grandfather will come and quench your thirst from the house of Kausar, after which you will never be thirsty again." Imam Hussein put his tongue in the mouth of Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar said, he took the tongue of Imam Hussein outside. He said, "Lisanuka aybas min lisani." Oh father, your tongue is even drier than my own. Imam Hussein had experienced the thirst of all the people in the camp. Ali Akbar went back. Very soon he was attacked from all sides. Had he received a lance on his a strike on his chest. That was the time. Alayka minnis salam. He said, "My father, my last salam to you." Imam Hussein arrived. Ali Akbar had given his life. Allah la'natullah ala al-qawm al-zalimin. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج بجاه محمد وآله يا حسين.